Good morning, fourth grade, and welcome to day 2 of our language YouTube videos. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Mrs. Evans. Let's start by reviewing what we learned yesterday. Yesterday, we reminded ourselves of the 3 different kinds of verbs. We have an action verb. That is what the subject is doing. Maybe right now you are sitting. Hopefully you're not sleeping, but the action verb is what the subject is doing. Sometimes a sentence will not have an action verb, but it will have a linking verb. That is what the subject is. Remember our song? Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been? Okay, all of those are linking verbs. And thirdly, we have helping verbs. A helping verb always helps the main verbs. Yesterday we talked about tense. Every verb happens at a specific time. It can be happening right now. If it's happening now, we call that present tense. If it has already happened, we call that past tense. And we're listening for that d at the end, that ed. Or if it hasn't happened yet, but it will happen eventually, we call that future tense. And we're always looking for this future signalizer will, that helping verb. Today, we're focusing on just the present tense verbs, just the present tense verbs. And I want to remind you of this rule that we've used in times past. The rule is as follows. Singular verbs end in S. Can you say that with me? Singular verbs end in S. And just as a reminder, singular means one. Singular means one. Just how we need to agree with the people that are in our family, our loved ones, the subject must agree with the verb in number. What that means is if you have a singular subject, you also have to have a singular verb. The opposite is also true. If you have a plural subject, you have to have a plural verb. Plural means more than one. Let's take a look at our first example next to the purple bird. A bird blank in the tree. Let's find our subject first. What is our subject? Who or what is that entire sentence about? If you answered bird, good job. Now I'm going to put in the word live here. A bird live in the tree. Now, does that make sense to you? I probably am thinking that it doesn't. And here's the reason why. Bird is one. Got my one purple bird there. It is singular. But I put a plural verb with it. The subject and the verb here do not agree. So we need to add an S to the end of that verb because singular verbs end in S. A bird lives in the tree. Bird is one, lives is one. They are both singular. The subject is singular and the plural. And the verb is singular as well. Let's look at our next example. You'll see the 2 birds there. Some birds blank in the tree. Who or what is the entire sentence about? Birds. Now, how many birds do we have? More than one. It says some. We don't know how many, but we know that that is a plural subject, more than one. So we need to have a plural verb here. Let's use the same one, lives, and see if that makes sense. Some birds lives in the tree? No, I don't think so. Here's the reason why. We have a plural verb here, more than one, with just a singular verb there. It does not agree. So here's what I think in my mind. Bird does not have an S, but lives does. Now look what's happening to that S. It's traveling down here. So this will not have an S either. It's kind of like they're passing that S back and forth like it's a volleyball game. And the S is the volleyball. Going over there. Now it's coming back over here. Okay? Birds live in the tree. Let's take a look at some spelling rules that will help us today. I'm going to move my monitor over so you can see our second language board. Thank you for your patience this morning. Okay, there are three main rules that we need to keep in mind for today's lesson, and that is how to take a plural verb and change it back to a singular verb. Remember, singular verbs end in S. The first rule is the most common rule, and that is just add an S. Take a look at my verb in blue, cut. Cut. Right now, that is a plural verb. I'm going to change it to a singular verb by just adding an S. Watch. It's good to go. It's singular now. Now, that rule doesn't apply for all verbs. So let's take a look at rule number 2. If you have a word that ends in CH, SH, S, X, or Z, you're going to add an ES. Now, I have taught you a song for that, or not really a song, more like a chant. Can you sing it with me or chant it with me? CH, SH, SX, Z, add an S behind the E. Not just S, not just E. ES does it accurately. So let's look at our next verb. Our next verb ends with a Z. That's one of our letters here. So instead of adding an S, like Rule 1 tells us, we are going to be adding an ES to the end of that verb. Watch what happens. It's going from plural to singular. We're done. Third rule is this. If you have a word that ends with a Y, like carry here, I'm going to need you to back up one letter and see what letter comes in front of that. If you have a consonant, I see a consonant, change the Y to an I and add ES. I'm going to say that rule one more time because this tends to be a little tricky. Any word, any verb that ends with a Y, you must back up one letter to see what kind of letter comes in front. If you see a consonant, I see a consonant, R is a consonant. We're going to change the Y to an I and add ES. Carry is plural, carries is singular. Why is it singular? Because singular verbs end in S. We're going to look at some of the examples that's in your textbook. So if you haven't already gotten your textbook out, grab that textbook and a pencil because here we go. Number 1, some trees live or lives more than 200 years. The thing that we need to do first is figure out who or what the entire sentence is about. Who is the star of this sentence? If you answered trees, good job. Underline it one time. Then we need to put our thinking cap on. Is trees talking about one tree, singular, or more than one tree, plural? It's plural. The S was an indicator here that we have more than one tree. Do you remember what the other example on the other board? If we have an S here, we will not have an S over there. Think about the S as the volleyball. It's on this side of the court right now. So we're not going to play with 2 volleyballs. No. So we're going to choose live because live is the plural form of the verb. Singular verbs end in S. Number 2, a crow cry or cries, caw, caw. Like my sound effects there, the onomatopoeia. Okay, let's find our subject first. Who or what is the entire sentence about? Crow. Now let's decide what number. How many crows do we have? 1 or more than 1? More than 1. So we're going to have to choose the verb that matches it the best. Remember that volleyball analogy that I told you? Is the volleyball S over here? No. So we're going to choose the one that has an S over there. Cries. Now I want to get you thinking this morning. What happened to the Y? It's gone. It says I-E-S. If you're thinking because it ended with a Y, good for you. We must back up one letter. I see a consonant. Change the Y to an I and add ES. Let's go on to number 3. Number 3 says the sunlight flashes through the leaves. Step 1, Find the subject. Who or what is that entire sentence about? Sunlight. Decide its number. 1 or more than 1? We're talking about 1 here. Good guess. So here we go. Let's think about it. Think about the S as like a volleyball. Is the volleyball here? No. So the volleyball must be over here. Oh no, there's 2. There's 2 volleyballs. That's against the rules. So we have to go back to our rules. Let's think about the original word flash. Flash. Did you hear that? Shh. Shh. I heard that. It ends with an SH. What is our rule for verbs that end in an SH? CH, SH, SXZ, add an S behind an E. Not just S, not just E. ES does it accurately. If you need to go back and rewind and practice that jingle again, please do that. It's really helpful for me, and I bet it'll be helpful for you too. Flash ends with an SH, and the rule tells us that in order to change a word that ends with an SH to its singular form, we must add an ES, not just an S, like rule number 1 tells us. So can you find the one that ends in ES? The first one or the second one? The second one. Underline it 2 times. Now I'm going to jump down to the bottom of your page on that front page, because what it's asking you to do is to take a verb in its plural form. Typically we think of all verbs in their plural form, like jump, play, sing. Those are all plurals. So think about the words in their plural original form, and we're going to change them to the singular form of that word. But we have to keep in mind our 3 rules for today. Let's take a look at number 7 at the bottom. Number 7 is jump. Jump. Does it end with a Y? No, it doesn't. So we're not going to use rule number 3. Does it end with a CH, SH, SX, or Z? Nope. So guess what we're going to do? Just add an S. Jump. Jumps. We're done. Go to number 8. Splash. Does it end with a Y? No. Does it end with a CH, SH, SX, or Z? Yes, it does. Right here. For the rule for that type of word is we must add what? An ES. And number 9, fly. Fly. Does fly end with a Y? It sure does. So we don't just automatically take off that Y. No. We have to back up 1 letter to see what kind of letter that is. Is that letter a consonant? I see a consonant. Change the Y to an I and add ES. It's going to look like this. F-L-I-E-S. All right, students, we have gone over the 3 rules of how to change a verb from plural to singular. They are, for most words, just add an S. For some words, we're going to add an ES depending on what it ends with. Or thirdly, if it ends with a Y, back up 1 letter. I see a consonant, change the Y to an I and add ES. Here's your challenge. Do the ones that I did not do on the front and try that independent practice on the back. Do the best that you can. If you have any questions, circle the one that you're not sure of. I'd still like for you to try it. Circle it and we'll discuss it during our conference call or FaceTime. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day. This is Mrs. Evans for Language Lesson 2. Bye-bye.